Hi there, it's Shelly with ReinerStop.com again. First off, I just have to say thanks so much. I appreciated all the comments, the DMs, the emails on the first video. It sounds like the information is resonating with you. So thank you so much for that. And if you're new, welcome. This is the second video in a 3-part educational series coming out before we launch the new 2.0 version. And just to recap real quick on our first video, what we were talking about was understanding your buyer motivators. And there were 3 main takeaways that I shared. The first one is remember that your buyers are making purchases based upon feelings or a future feeling that they could have or what that horse can provide as far as a transformation for them. I shared my personal example with that, but keep that in mind. And if you don't understand your buyer's motivators, ask. You can absolutely ask questions. And actually, in the first email, there was an attachment, and I gave an example of 5 separate questions that you can use as kind of go-to to understand your buyer motivators a little bit more. So that was an added bonus. So if you missed it, make sure you go back and grab that. And then number 3 is don't forget to do that unbiased evaluation of your horse so that you can share both its abilities as well as any possible gaps that it has as you connect with those prospective buyers. So today's video, it's like I said, the second video in a 3-part educational series coming out. Today's video, the topic is about reducing those tire kicker calls. So this is something that I absolutely understand both from all my experience in sales and marketing, specifically with ReinerStop in the last 7 years, being both a buyer and seller myself. I understand that those tire kicker calls, those frustrating calls can, cause a lot of stress and waste some time. So today I'm going to share with you how we can reduce those tire kicker calls by having a complete sales listing and sharing that complete sales listing no matter where you use it. So when I use the term sales listing, I'm not just talking about a listing on a website like ReinerStop. I'm talking about any time that you're going to share your sale horses, whether it's on social media, texting a colleague or a friend, email. You want to have that complete listing available so that you can help reduce those tire kicker calls and get you to that buyer, that qualified buyer, that much faster. So let's explore a little bit more what a complete sales listing looks like. And I get it. You're like, Shelly, I know what a complete sales listing is. I know what that looks like. And I understand. My perspective that I'm going to share today is from the buyer's perspective. And a lot of what you're going to hear and what is best to do, and I have it right here, is wear your buyer's shoes. Okay? Whenever you're creating your sales listing, make sure you're thinking about how your buyer is going to be receiving that. And to get started, I actually wanted to share from a buyer's perspective what a complete listing says about you as the seller versus an incomplete listing says about you from, again, the buyer's perspective. And I actually did a post on this not too long ago on ReinerStop, so make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram where I dive into this a little bit more. But from a buyer's perspective, a complete listing says to me that the seller, that you are ready to sell, that you are proud of the horses that you have for sale, that you're organized, that you have everything ready to go. And it also tells me that you value both my time and your time. I don't have to make unnecessary calls to get more information about your sale horses. And you know what? It tells me as a buyer, wow, they're pretty organized. They are probably going to be easy to work with to complete the purchase. And you know what? It says that they're welcome, that they're ready for qualified buyers. So a complete listing says, you go ahead, give me a call. I've listed everything. So if you're going to call me, I bet you it's going to be that you are a qualified buyer. Now let's look at the opposite, an incomplete sales listing, and what that tells your prospective buyers. It says about you. So as a seller, it would say that I'm pretty unorganized, I might not really like to sell horses. Maybe I'm not too proud of this horse, you know, that I have for sale. Maybe I will call you back. Maybe I won't. Might be a little unorganized, so might be kind of hard to do the deal. And that, you know what, I didn't really value your time, so go ahead, just call me. Tire kickers, call me as much as you want. And so those are two very opposite perspectives on a complete listing versus an incomplete listing. But from a buyer's perspective, I hope that you can see that the listing not only talks about your sale horse or sale horses that you have, it also says a lot about you as a seller. And some people may look at an unorganized, incomplete ad and be like, you know what, I don't even want to deal with this. I want this to be a great experience. And if they can't even take the time to do a complete listing, I'm out. I don't even want to deal with it. I'll find another horse. So there's a lot that goes into it, and it says a lot about you and your products or horses that you have for sale. So, you know, let's really dive into what a complete listing looks like and, you know, recognize that virtual sales, I mean, especially in 2020, but even beyond, and from the past, from 2013 when we launched to now, I mean, virtual sales are increasing like dramatically. And the more that we can do and pivot and evolve, and that's why the new 2.0 version is coming out, the better that we are going to be with connecting with qualified buyers. So when we dive into what some of the items as far as a complete listing, we're gonna look at photos, videos, description, contact information, and price. And one thing that I want to jump in first is when you look at a sales listing, there are things that I call basic descriptives. Basic descriptives are something that every horse has, right? We have age, color, pedigree, nominations. We could list lifetime earnings or production earnings. These are all things that are pretty black and white and basic that every listing should absolutely incorporate. So you got to have those basic descriptives there. Now, let's jump into photos and videos. So if we look at photos, putting yourself, you're going to hear me say this a lot, but putting yourself in your buyer's shoes, would you be happy as a buyer with only one photo? Probably not. Probably going to call and ask for a few more photos, right? A good rule of thumb, based upon my experience with ReinerStop, is the more photos, the better. Okay, no matter where you're sharing this information. And a way to think about it is like registration photos. Have front, back, left, right, and maybe a 3/4 view on your sale horse. And that's kind of a bare minimum, okay? The other thing that you want to think about is show ready. What does show ready look like? Unbraided manes and tails, bathed, clipped, ready to, like if they were gonna walk into the show pen, that's how they would look. A lot of buyers are looking for that show horse and they want to see what it would look like. That means if we're gonna have saddled pictures, show pad, show saddle, cleaned, show head stall, ready to go. So think about that show ready. Now the other perspective I wanna give you is why I would suggest making the investment of using a professional photographer. I recognize that phones, we have a lot of technology on our hands right now that make things very easily, but photographers are trained as far as understanding time of day, angles, lighting, being able to edit the photo. This again is a reflection of you as the seller of your product. So taking the time and making that investment on a professional photographer, I can't tell you, definitely adds an edge to a sales listing. Now, on the flip side, let's talk about videos. So with videos, if your horse is show ready, right, or show wean, let's say, and you're selling it as a show horse, I would absolutely recommend having a video from your most recent show in the pen, in the show pen. If you've already left the show, it's very easy to contact the videographer and get that sent to you. In fact, actually, what's happening at a lot of horse shows right now is there's a sponsor, and so those videos are already being sent to you. But you can always contact the videographer and get those videos sent to you. It's nice because that is a perfect representation of your show horse that you're trying to sell. Now I recognize not all horses have made it to the show pen, so we need to have a video at home. Or maybe it's been quite some years since they've been in the show pen, so it's not an accurate representation and you want to do a video at home. Again, I can't stress enough by making the investment for a professional videographer is well worth it, especially when we are marketing these show horses. But with the video at home, there's something that you got to think about is edits. And I heard this loud and clear. I made a post just recently about videos, and I would encourage you to go on there and read the comments back, but edits came back as probably one of the most frustrating things that buyers see. And again, putting yourself in the buyer's perspective, if your video has like spin, edit, stop, edit, stop, edit, stop, edit, change, edit, other change, edit, like all these different breakups in the video, as a buyer, I'm sure you could put yourself in those shoes too, would be like, wow, how many times do they have to stop the horse to get that one stop? Looks pretty sweaty in this cut versus that cut. What are they trying to hide? Why can't I just show an accurate representation of just everything all at once? And that's the thing that a show video does, right? In about a 5-minute pattern, you see the horse do all the various maneuvers continuously without any edits. That should be the goal at an at-home video. Now I recognize, right? Edits will need to happen. Maybe someone photobombs you in your video, or maybe a tractor goes by and is very loud and disruptive, and you have to edit that out. I get it, it happens. Good rule of thumb is try to have no more than 2 edits in your video and do the maneuvers continuously. I think that we can all agree as buyers, we'd rather see the horse for what it is than all these bits and pieces of what we hope it is, right? So definitely try to minimize those efforts. One extra piece of advice that I would share is when you create your video, I've seen so many videos have music tied to them. And it's fun, right? It makes it a little bit more enjoyable to watch. Caution here though, in that not every buyer has the same taste in music as you. So if you are a buyer and you see a video and it's like a song that brings back a horrible memory, right off the bat, you're already looking at this horse, we don't like it because the music is turning you off. So my recommendation would be to suggest a music or a song that's very low key, very even toned, as well as keep the volume low. Your forefront should be the horse, not your song, okay? So a couple rules of thumb there with those videos. Now next on to description. When you look at description, whenever I would assist somebody in the past with writing a description, I would suggest talking or writing your description, like you're talking to a friend, right? Use 2 to 3 concise sentences about your horse, and try to avoid our reining jargon. I can't tell you how often I would see big stopper, fast turner. Yep, I get it. It's a reining horse. I hope it's a big stopper and a fast turner. So those jargon words are just so overused, they don't hold any value to them anymore. So take that time, like you're talking to a friend, telling them about your horse and why you love this horse and why maybe this horse could make the best match for a specific type of rider. So that's my points on description. Now with contact information, might seem like, yeah, I get it, duh, contact information, but there is something added to this, okay? If you're a private seller, absolutely. Your phone number, your email is gonna be on there. But if you're working with a professional such as a trainer or trainer working with a client, same thing. It's an excellent opportunity for you two to team together as to who's gonna be taking those calls. I think that is an important conversation that needs to be had, and whoever's taking the calls needs to also set expectations. So what does that mean when I say set expectations? We are all so busy in our day. So whether you're a private seller or you're a professional and you are the point of contact, whoever is the point of contact, we're busy, right? We're, maintaining a household, helping with the business, running a business, taking care of horses. Trainer, you're taking care of horses, employees, vet, farrier, clients, everything all within your day, it can become very challenging to answer phone calls within the day because you're in the middle of something. And so it causes all this extra stress that doesn't need to be there. What I would recommend is in your description, make sure that you put your expectations. So what I mean by that is I will please call, inquiries please call between 3 and 6 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And if I miss your call, I will call you back within 24 to 48 hours. That's just setting an expectation. That also helps the buyer, right? Because if this buyer is truly interested, and you have a complete listing, if they are truly interested, they're gonna wanna be able to reach you at the best time so that they can call and maybe schedule a time to come out and see or talk further about the sale horse. So setting that expectation is not causing restrictions, it's actually making it easier for everyone involved. And like I said, you can add that right in as a line in your description. Texting is best. You can add whatever is best for you as the seller, and it's just easily communicated and easy to follow. So last but not least, let's talk about price. So I understand that price can be a sensitive subject, right? I can tell you, based upon 7 years with ReinerStop, those that have a price listed sell twice as fast, if not faster, than those that do not. And that is a surefire way to reduce your tire kicker calls. Let me share an example. How many times do you see a sale horse listed on social media, right? It's got everything that we just talked about. It's a complete listing, but no price. What do you see in the comments? Price please, price please, price please, price please, by like a million people, right? And as a seller, DM sent, DM sent, DM sent. That's a lot of time consuming. It's a lot of stressful, and it's a lot of tire kickers. They're just like, oh, what's the price? I'm curious because, what have you? Maybe they have something similar. Those are welcoming. By not listing your price, you're welcoming tire kicker calls. So again, this is an excellent time for you as a private seller or trainers working with clients, having that conversation, coming to the point, including anything that would need to be there as far as commissions or anything else to be able to list that price. Recognizing times change, right? Prices can change. They can go up or they can go down depending upon the needs of the seller. But having that price listed will get you to a buyer that much faster. And now I recognize that this is a sensitive subject. That being said, I am going to pair up with some partners, some professionals in our industry, and be bringing more information to you in the future on this. So I'm really excited to do that. So just my one last point that I want to make is talking about a cohesive ad. So I had a horse that was listed on the site about four or 5 years ago. It was listed by a prominent trainer, very prominent trainer. It was a black stallion. The video showed reining maneuvers. It was bred really well. But the photos were of the horse running through water, walking over a log, someone literally physically erect standing on its back, saddled. It just didn't make sense. And of course, there was no price listed. So I saw the back end. I could see all the analytics. This ad was getting a lot of hits. It was a very prominent trainer, beautiful horse, bred well, all that good stuff. And when I spoke with the trainer, they said, man, we're getting a ton of calls, but it's very frustrating. I'm almost offended by what people are offering because this horse is worth, so much more. And in my mind, looking at how the ad was presented, I saw the horse at being $25,000 to $30,000. It was a great horse. It served an absolute purpose, but it wasn't a high-end horse. Come to find out that they were offended because the horse was actually priced at $75,000. That was a huge disconnect because the way that the horse was presented in the video and the breeding and who was selling it and the photos, it didn't make sense, so it was not cohesive. So that, again, without a price, just enlisted a ton of tire kicker calls. Once we had that conversation and were able to understand, we got some new photos and listed a price, and the horse moved very quickly, found the right buyer. So not only is it important to have a complete listing, but to have a cohesive listing on what the horse's abilities are of what you're selling. So, just to leave you with this last little quote, wear your buyer's shoes. So when you are creating your complete sales listing, think about it from your buyer's perspective, not just your perspective, and you're going to create a great ad that connects with qualified buyers. So what I'd love to hear back from you guys is thanks for staying to the end. Maybe shoot me an email or a comment or down below in the YouTube video, or maybe a DM. Tell me what one thing today resonated with you that you can put into action right away. I'd love to hear that. And just to give you a little heads up, so our last video is coming, which means the new launch is coming as well. Our last video is focused on reaching more buyers. And these 3-part video series came about from feedback that I received from a survey. So thank you again to those that participated. You helped not only create ReinerStop, but these educational videos as well. But number 1 was, how do I reach more buyers? And I'm going to share with you how the use of diversification will help you do just that. So that is our next video coming. I cannot wait to share it with you. It's something I'm very, very fond of, and I love this topic. And I will be with you shortly on that video. Make sure to check your email for that video coming, and we will be in touch soon. Have a great day.